Your dog cannot tell you when something is wrong. They cannot say the walks have become too painful, that the food bowl smells strange, or that the world feels like it is slowly going dark. All they can do is show you, quietly and without complaint, the only way they know how. These 7 signs are ordinary ones. They are your dog speaking to you. It is your job to listen before it is too late. Sign 7. Withdrawing and going quiet. This sign is the one most owners explain away for the longest time because it looks, on the surface, like a mood. Your dog stops coming to the door when you get home. They used to be there before the key was even in the lock, and now they are somewhere in the back of the house, like they are trying to disappear. Most owners get it wrong because what is often actually happening is biological. When the immune system detects serious disease anywhere in the body, it releases chemical messengers called cytokines into the bloodstream, and these travel directly to the brain and activate a hardwired survival state that researchers have been studying for over 2 decades, calling it sickness behavior. Your dog is not giving up on you. Their own brain chemistry has physically removed their ability to engage, just as a high fever removes a child's desire to run around. Research confirms this is a motivated, purposeful response driven by the immune system, not a sign of giving up or shutting down emotionally. But when the withdrawal persists for more than a week, deepens instead of lifting, it stops being a mood and becomes a message. Write down what you are noticing and bring it to your vet, because the dog who used to fill every room is now shrinking, and that deserves a real explanation. The next sign is visible in a way that is hard to unsee once you recognize it. Sign 6. Weight loss. It looks like resting your hand on your dog's back and suddenly feeling only bones where there used to be warmth and solidity. The spine becomes a ridge you can trace with your fingers. The hips press outward against the skin. The temples of the skull go hollow, and the head takes on a gaunt, angular shape that is nothing like the face you have been looking at for years. You are feeding the same amount, maybe even more than usual, and the weight keeps dropping anyway. And that detail right there is the thing that should make you pay very close attention. This is not ordinary weight loss from simply eating less. Researchers studying this process have found that a protein called TNF-alpha activates the body's destruction machinery and begins breaking down muscle tissue for fuel even when food is available and being consumed. Weigh your dog weekly and ask your vet to assess muscle conditions specifically, because body weight on a scale alone will miss what is actually happening beneath the surface. The next sign carries a particular kind of heartbreak that does not get talked about enough. Sign 5. Losing control of bladder and bowel. Your dog, the one you spent years training, who has not had an accident inside since they were a puppy, starts losing control of their bladder and bowel without any warning. You find wet patches on their bedding while they sleep, completely unaware it is happening. Stool drops while they are just walking across the floor, going nowhere in particular. And the expression on their face when they realize what has happened is one of the most quietly devastating things an owner can witness, because they know they are embarrassed and they genuinely could not stop it. When spinal cord disease progresses, those signals stop reaching their destination altogether. When muscle wasting has already consumed the pelvic floor, there is simply no physical structure remaining to maintain control. Research confirms that up to 20% of spayed female dogs develop a completely treatable form of incontinence called urethral sphincter mechanism incompetence that responds well to daily medication. Spinal disc disease, urinary tract infections, and Cushing's disease all cause incontinence that is fully reversible once properly diagnosed. The point at which this becomes truly serious is when both bladder and bowel control are lost at the same time, when the onset is sudden rather than gradual, or when it shows up alongside 3 or more other signs from this list. See your veterinarian promptly rather than assuming it is simply old age, because that assumption has cost dogs months of quality time that proper treatment could have preserved. Before we get to the 4 most critical signs, we would love to know from where you are watching us. Now, back to another sign which tends to arrive after withdrawal and weight loss have already been present for some time, and it signals a shift in the body's relationship with survival itself. Sign 4. Refusing to eat completely. Appetite loss shows up earlier on this list too, but complete refusal is a different and more urgent thing altogether, and it tends to arrive after the other signs have already been quietly building for a while. The food bowl sits completely untouched. Your dog approaches it, drops their nose toward it, and walks away like the smell alone is too much to handle. The hypothalamus, which is the brain's appetite control center, receives a continuous flood of inflammatory signals from failing organs and uses them to activate the neurons that suppress hunger while simultaneously shutting down the neurons that generate the drive to eat in the first place. Kidney toxins create a permanent low-grade nausea that the smell of food makes dramatically worse. Research into dogs with advanced organ disease found that appetite loss rarely arrives alone, and that when it combines with weakness and breathing changes, the clinical picture shifts significantly towards systemic failure rather than an isolated stomach issue. A single day of appetite loss in an otherwise healthy, energetic dog is very likely just an upset stomach, but a refusal of both food and water lasting more than 48 hours in a senior dog, particularly alongside withdrawal, weight loss, or weakness, is a same-day call to your veterinarian rather than a situation to monitor through the weekend. The third sign is where the body stops hiding what is happening and starts showing it structurally. Sign 3. Extreme weakness. There is a specific and painful moment that a lot of owners describe, where they watch their dog try to stand up from the floor, make it halfway, and then just slide back down and stay there. The back legs go out. The front legs tremble under the effort. The stairs that used to be nothing become completely impassable overnight. They lie in one position for hours at a time and stop shifting the way healthy sleeping dogs do constantly throughout the day, and eventually they stop attempting to rise at all unless something forces them to. When anemia reduces the red blood cell count, the problem compounds on itself. Cells switch from efficient energy production into an emergency backup mode that generates lactic acid and the burning sensation of exhaustion even at complete rest. Electrolyte imbalances from kidney failure interrupt the electrical signals that muscles need to contract in the first place. It is critical to know that hypothyroidism causes this exact picture of profound weakness and reverses completely once the dog is on thyroid medication. And Addison's disease can produce sudden, severe collapse in dogs who go on to live completely full lives after diagnosis and proper treatment. The version of this sign that demands emergency care is sudden inability to stand developing within hours. And the version that demands an urgent and honest end-of-life conversation with your veterinarian is gradual worsening across several weeks, arriving alongside 3 or more other signs from this list at the same time. The second sign is the one that makes the chest tighten the moment you see it, because breathing is the most visible proof that something is alive. Sign 2. Irregular breathing. Your dog's belly heaves visibly with every single breath, while they are just resting on the floor, doing nothing. The elbows splay outward, and the neck stretches forward, trying to force the airway open as wide as physically possible. The breathing becomes audible from across the room, a wet gurgling sound, or a high, thin wheeze that was simply not there yesterday or the day before. The gums shift from their normal, healthy pink toward a blue-gray color, and that color change means oxygen levels in the blood have dropped to a genuinely dangerous place that needs immediate attention. In the most serious cases, breathing becomes cyclical in a pattern where it grows deeper, then progressively shallower, then stops completely for several terrifying seconds before beginning the whole cycle again from the start. Researchers called it Cheney-Stokes breathing, and it happens because the failing heart has slowed circulation enough that the brainstem receives carbon dioxide signals too late to respond normally, causing it to overcorrect and create that repeating loop of escalating and then collapsing breaths. Any labored breathing occurring at rest, regardless of what you suspect is causing it, is a veterinary emergency without exception and needs to be treated as one immediately. The last and most critical sign requires the shortest explanation, because when it happens, the only thing that matters is getting your dog in front of a veterinarian in the next 60 minutes. Sign 1. Collapse. Your dog falls without any warning. The legs stop working mid-step. Consciousness may flicker out for seconds or considerably longer. The gums go white or gray. The abdomen may be visibly swollen in a way that was not there an hour ago. The most catastrophic cause of sudden collapse in dogs is a ruptured splenic tumor, a cancer called hemangiosarcoma that kills an estimated 300,000 dogs every single year in the United States, the overwhelming majority of them without a single prior warning sign that anything was wrong at all. When it ruptures, blood pressure collapses within minutes, and the situation becomes fatal with remarkable speed without surgical intervention. Research following over 150 dogs that had experienced unexplained collapse found that clinical signs resolved entirely in 42% of cases, without ever finding a definitive cause. That finding matters in two directions at once. It tells you that not every collapse is a death sentence, and with equal force, it tells you that observing from a distance and hoping for the best is never an appropriate response to a dog on the floor. Addison's disease, treatable heart arrhythmias, and low blood sugar all cause dramatic collapse in dogs who go on to live completely full and normal lives after proper diagnosis and treatment. White gums combined with a swollen abdomen mean internal hemorrhage and emergency surgery within the hour. Save the number of your nearest emergency animal hospital in your phone right now before you are ever standing in your kitchen at 2 in the morning searching for it while your dog is on the floor. Which one of these signs surprised you the most? Leave it in the comments below.